Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Google EMD Algorithm Update News, part of the emdalgo.com website publishing. And I'm Chris from Web Life Marketing, and my partner Steve and I are the ones that are putting together these news and just doing the research out there to put everything we can to help everybody who has been affected by this Google EMD algorithm. What we're doing is going through the forums every day, going through all the blog posts out there, just basically searching around to find out anything we can that will help everybody recover from this EMD algorithm that have been affected. And for those of you who haven't been affected, one of the things that we're doing also is finding out why some were and some weren't being affected. And again, just helping out everybody get this information out there. So what I want to start with is the September 20, I guess what's been happening. September 28th, which was a Friday, Matt Cutts tweeted that the announcement about the update coming that Google was doing that will target exact match domains, which we called EMD. Google has been saying for quite a long time now that they felt as though too many exact match domain names like theproduct.com, it was just actually being ranking too high, and that they were going to go ahead and have something done to it. It's from what I heard, maybe a couple years that they've been mentioning that, and they finally got this put out there and implemented. Now what we're seeing is that there were a lot of really good sites that were actually relevant and had good content that were actually affected by this just because they had an exact match domain. We'll be going into a little other theories about what's been going on, but let's move on to September 29th on Saturday. Sites all over the web, well, especially internet marketer sites, is what we've been seeing, got hammered in their rankings. Personally, my sites lost over 50% of their traffic and equally 50% of the revenue that I have on some of my AdSense sites as well. So this loss has been pretty large by and by, just because of the traffic that's been affected from ranking that's been dropping from this update that's happening. So news is building more and more as webmasters and internet marketers see crazy results, and even sites just disappearing completely from Google. It's not just deranked; they're like practically, now I wouldn't say de-indexed, because they said they're still there, but they're so far back you can't even find them, and that's another problem that's been happening. So from that, what we're seeing is that the forums and websites are just buzzing with people who are asking for help, how to recover, and just giving their stories about their heartache and pain that's been going through. One guy even said that he spent $15,000 and months of his life putting together a site that all of a sudden has almost practically disappeared. So the theories are already flying all over the place on how to recover from this, and we're going to be going over some of the theories that are already that are going out on the next slide that we move on to. But just to let you know, everything that we're seeing right now, it's still so new. It's very difficult to actually pin down the exact thing that you need to do to fix your sites. So we're going to be going over that. What we're doing is we're compiling all the information from forums, from blog posts, to find all the commonalities of the people who were hit versus those who were not. That's how we're going to figure this out, because there are a lot of sites that were not hit. In fact, one of my websites, for one keyword phrase that I've always been targeting, I still rank well in it, but for a lot of the other secondary terms were the ones that disappeared, and I'm not ranking for those anymore. So it's certain terms that are hitting it. But what we're going to try to find out is exactly what is keeping people maintained in their places, because there are a lot of people who are claiming they weren't even touched by it, and in fact there are others who said that they jumped in rank, and I've seen that on some other sites as well that I work on. Some key phrases that were 60, 70 ranked back on the 6th or 7th page already jumped to page 2, and these were phrases I didn't really care so much about, because the ones that we're targeting on were doing really well, but I had this list of secondary ones that I track daily, and I saw some tremendous jumps on those too. So who was not affected and why weren't they affected? That's the thing that we want to go ahead and look into, and we'll be covering that as more episodes come out. And why are solid white hat sites being hit as well? I mean, why are they disappearing when they didn't do anything that was wrong in their eyes? But again, now some of this compilation of data that we're getting, we're just getting it off forums and blog posts and what they say. We don't really know what they did or how weak maybe their backlinks are. So we're going to be looking into some of those too. There was one guy that said he had a site with 6,000 pages that were practically gone. Because at first I thought it was just weak EMD sites. It looks like that may not be totally the case as far as pages that had just very little content, because there's others out there who have said they haven't been hit and they had only like 4 pages up there. And we also see where some other competitors have moved above us that had less pages than we did. So it's not necessarily, we know now that it's not necessarily how big the site was. So is it content? We don't know. Some sites are already seeing recovery. So just as another thing to just keep in mind, within a few hours, there is a lot of reports of people who said that their sites that had gone almost completely off the charts started to make their way back and all of a sudden reappeared. So waiting a little longer is, my recommendation is wait a little longer. Read and follow the news that's out there, and we're going to, check your results maybe every 5 to 6 hours to see if you're having any movement, because there's a lot of people who are seeing recovery. But also we're gonna, don't jump to anything and start making changes yet until we know that Google has settled down with the algorithm. We've also seen where adjustments have been made after something has come up. The next thing is that others are focusing on title tag changes. This is just some things that people are doing. It's not like I'm telling you to do this, but just know that secondary terms that were maybe keyword terms or keyword phrases that maybe were ranking pretty well, but was not your exact match domain, that could be an option for some people to go ahead and start changing. What they're doing is they're actually going after those secondary terms that still have decent traffic, and they're going to make sure they have a solid #1 rank. And how they're doing this is, if your site is myproduct.com and your title tag was myproduct.com and everything within it focused on myproduct.com, what they're doing is they're actually now changing their title tag to add maybe a little bit of dilution, or instead of my product is theproductiOwn.com or something along the line of something that's similar. That might not have been a best example, but you guys get the idea. They're changing their title tags to match secondary keywords that maybe they could possibly get stronger ranking in now. So that's something that they're doing as well. There's another technique that I am not saying, like I said, this is good or bad, but somebody mentioned a pretty neat idea about buying expired domains that had high PR that were similar to what your site's about. And this is going to take a lot of work depending how big your site is, but what they're doing is they're then moving their content over to this new site. And of course, they're going to do their 301 redirects of their old site so that they still, pass on the juice of whatever they had there. But now all of a sudden they have a non-exact match domain. Now, like I said, this is something that I'm telling you. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just putting it out there. This is what I saw someone say that they're doing. That being said, anybody who's going to make any moves now, something this drastic, I would say be careful, because like I said, algorithms can change, and then you might be actually just hurting yourself and destroying a site that could have recovered on its own. So keep in mind, that's what I'm saying. Recommend is just wait maybe a couple days. Let's see what everybody's starting to say. We can gather more data. Come back to emdalgo.com. Make sure you sign up for the update on the newsletters, because as we get stuff, we're going to be sending stuff out there. And it's, we're not charging for anything that we're doing. We find this, for one thing, I find it fun. I do SEO as a living, and this kind of stuff kind of excites me to just know that this has been a long time coming. And now the fun part comes is how can we beat it, or how can we get the legitimate sites that need to be up there. My sites that, like I said, got hit, well, I don't see it as something good or bad, or it's just something that I knew was going to come. And the other part is, don't put your eggs all in one basket. And my recommendation is always find something else other than Google to make sure you sustain your traffic. So make sure you get your newsletter up there. But that's enough of that. We're going to go ahead and move into what others are doing. They're also looking into strengthening their backlinks. So, use common sense or solid SEO practices. Make sure that everything else that's in your site is doing well. If you've got hit by Panda and Penguin and you recovered from that, that's great. If you haven't got hit, this might be the part that just finally broke the camel's back, and you're falling because of it now. So make sure, just because you didn't get hit by Panda and Penguin earlier, that you're doing what you need to do to take a look at both that algorithm update that may have affected it in conjunction with this new EMD Algo update. There's still more to come, so like I said, we're still compiling data. We try to get as many videos out as possible as we figure more things out. But what we want to do is we want to also hear from you. So we've set up an email. We want you to find out what others, that maybe if you're not on a board and it's easier to email, but send us your email, or record an MP3 file. We'll stick it up on one of our videos, or even do your own video and send us to the YouTube link. But email it to emdalgoupdate@gmail.com so we can help everybody else get this compilation put together. And I'm not out to compete with Google, but I'm out to go ahead and make sure that I rank where I believe I belong. And that's the spammy sites. I'm kind of glad that the competition that's very spammy gets kind of moved away. My sites are all legit. They do server purpose, and people come because of referrals as well, or at least half, because like I said, the other half of my business seems to have dropped away from Google searches. But let's go ahead and get as much update and information as we can put together here, and see if we can help each other out, get past this, and move on to something more fun, like making money on the internet. If you have any questions or comments, like I said, email us at emdalgoupdate@gmail.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow or as soon as possible with more videos and updates.